Hello everyone, my name is Nexus Floof and it is so lovely to see you today. I am here to talk to you today about genestealer cults. Now, I think the MFM has probably hit us harder than most factions.
No. Wait. Wait.
And while I normally like to, always say I'm going to be productive and then not yell, and then I still yell, I think I'm just going to, we're going to pretend that doesn't happen, and I'm going to try not to yell today. I've been playing a bunch of games of 11th edition. I've got about a dozen and a half under my belt, and I want to give you my first impressions on where we're at a competitive level, testing against all of the other top players in the world, as well as just seeing games happen at every state of play, right? So, well, I've only played, 12 games myself. All of my downtime, whether I'm painting or editing or anything like that, I am in some Discord watching 11th edition be played because I just want to consume all of it. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and roll into today's video. So, roll that intro. Okay, so this is kind of like a catch-up of like where everything is at, right? I'm going to give some lists at the back end of it, but I want to give my general first impressions, okay? I will preface this by stating, because of Team's purposes, for several events throughout the years, or not the years, but for several events throughout this year that are coming up, I'm prepping for a bunch of different team tournaments. And on that, those team compositions that I've been, a part of, or am a part of, I don't know why I keep past tensing this, but all those teams were kind of weak in terms of our disruption. So I've just taken it upon myself of like, okay, I'm going to go practice GSC disruption and see if there's something here. And there kind of is. I don't love my games when I play disruption. I genuinely think it is the weakest disposition, which kind of sucks because I love the idea of it, of the I'm going to do what you're doing, but just fuck with you while I'm doing it. Because it's a unique playstyle and not a lot of armies can do it, but I think GSC has that opportunity, right? But as it stands right now, and I'll go ahead and show you an example later on, like it's not advantaged into anything. I don't care what Art of War says. I respect a lot of people on that team, but I just do not agree with the statement of disruption is favored into purge. Disruption isn't favored into anything, right? So, with that being said, there are still builds that can work on like a team's environment to where, you're still getting like 8 to 12 diff, like big, small to not even big. Yeah, just small wins or losses or draws and kind of keeping it in that spot. But that can be massive because if you don't have an army that has a good disruption comp, that army is getting a 0, right? It's really hard for this disposition to score compared to the other dispositions. Now, I will say, in terms of other things that I've been wrong, because I was like, I'm 10 toes down for disruption. It's going to be so cool. I'm going to love playing it. It hasn't been that great. On a positive note, into things that I have been wrong about, one of the things that I've been, as soon as I tested it once, I loved it. And it was Mark of the Star Children for the 5-man Purestrains. Mark of the Star Children is for the new Purestrain detachment that gives them uppy downy, and then you have strats for fall back and charge, a D3 plus 3 reactive move, and then a -6 detection range. All really good strats, right? The thing, however, is that the upgrade is 30 points, right? And base Purestrain genestealers are 80 points or 90 for your third squad, and that's a lot. Spending 30 points is going to bring a 5-man unit to 110 points or 120 if it's your last unit, whatever. But the thing is like, while on paper that's very expensive, we have resurgence points, right? We aren't just... Resurgence points allow us to essentially get that upgrade for free a second or third time or fourth time, however you spend your points, basically because you bring an identical unit, or you make an identical unit, or however the wording is of Cult Ambush, they return with that upgrade. And so you're able to, have these cheap 5-mans that can not only like go eat trash a lot better, they can go handle scouts a lot easier, they can go handle just anything that's T4, to be honest. And infiltrators, infractors are the scouting ones. I always forget reavers. It's just, they're good into Marines, okay? And then also just them being T5 allows them to be much better at just tagging stuff and just saying, no, I'm staying here. And that 4-up armor, oftentimes a lot of things in this game are at least AP1, especially in shooting, because they were kind of compensating for cover in 10th edition. So you're always going to kind of be on your invuln for shooting. But in combat, there are some things to where that 4-up armor is very relevant, right? Especially in terms of tagging stuff. Obviously, like rhinos and all that kind of stuff. Just having that 4-up armor is very nice. But obviously, the most impactful thing is that T5, is that Strength 5. It's such an insane breakpoint that I essentially effectively did a test game to where I did 10 Purestrains with the Patriarch upgraded, 5 Purestrains upgraded, and 5 Purestrains not upgraded. And I just wanted to see, like, hey, if I'm looking at this scenario and I want to buy back the unupgraded Purestrain squad, do I really ever need them upgraded? And as soon as they died, I was like, nope, buying back the upgrade. Holy fuck, this is great. So the 5-man Purestrain squad with the upgrade is genuinely very, very good. I would highly recommend it. The only thing is that if you are, with how you're running this, the upgrades into the full squads are a little bit rougher. I think they're having GSC kind of pay this premium for 5-man squads, which I don't fucking agree with at all, because they interact so well with our army rule. And I'm sorry that you designed a shitty army rule and we're finding ways to make it work, but maybe quit punishing us for that, right? Because if you look at it, and let me bring up something here so I can actually make sure that I'm correct here. So we have these big bricks of Purestrain genestealers, right? The base squads, right, we are looking at, if we upgrade this, we're looking at 110 points. But if we just add the 5 Purestrains into it, we're only adding 60 points. We're going up to 170, right? It's 80 points for the first 5 and then 60 points for the next ones after that. But the thing is when you see this in squads, it's generally ones that, you know, they get all of their heavy weapons up front and then, you know, you add another 5 in and they still have the same amount of heavy weapons, right? I don't fully remember which squads specifically do that. I think it's like Scourges or something like that. I know there's like stuff in CSM and like Drukhari that are like that, right? To where you don't actually get extra heavies, you just get more dudes. But the thing is the Purestrains are just fine. They're like, everything has the same attack, right? It's just 5 more guys. So you're discounted on that. So I kind of had started realizing that this meta is very, very killy, right? I think the existence of Purge the Foe is warping a lot of armies that can abuse Purge the Foe to be like, here is 5 bigs, right? Here is, you know, 6 to 7 units in orcs. Here is just like single digit unit count armies, right? And so there's just a lot of beef and people are just stat checking you and they're just running at you and they say, my primary says to kill you, so I'm just going to kill you. I'm going to stand on the middle and you got to figure it out, right? And so I think there isn't a lot of room to be cute. And so 170 points for 10 dudes with a 5-up Feel No Pain that are 2 wounds, that are Strength 5, Toughness 5, feels really good to me. I was playing around with like the 10-5-5 setup, but when I'm looking at like 5-man Acolytes that are 75 points, bikes that are 90 points, what the fuck are we doing, GW? And then even my 5 tacos, right? The Mining Tool Acolytes cost more than your genestealers 6 through 10. I don't understand why that is. I get that like you get a discount because it costs much more resurgence points, right? So if you run these 10-mans, it costs 6 resurgence points to buy back a full squad. But if you run them as 5s, right, you can buy 3 squads back. So you can get 15 Purestrain genestealers. You can get more genestealers if you buy them in the small squads. Sure. The thing is, however, with how beefy the meta is right now, I think you do want those big squads. I think even if you're running Disruption or if you're running Priority, you kind of have to design your list to just say, I'm playing Purge, and I just have to jump through a couple extra hoops while I deal with the other Purge list. That's just me, though. Obviously, you know, if you go into a Recon player and they've built their list to be like Recon, it doesn't super matter, right? But I think right now, at least for Disruption and then kind of Priority Assets, because Priority Assets, you don't really do that many actions. You do like 1 or 2. I think you just say, here's like my two guys that are going to like touch the button, and then everything else is just beef. Everything else is just, I'm also going to kill you, right? So yeah, I think the Purestrains are just in a good spot to where I've been testing. Sorry, I know I'm kind of rambling. 10-5-5 setup that I was testing out, I then did it to where all of them were upgraded, and that felt really good. I didn't love paying 90 points for upgrades, but it's fine. Doing all of that felt really good, but then I kept looking at it and I go, I do just have these 5-man flacos, and the list is kind of tight on points. I can, weirdly enough, get more things in if I just make these Purestrains all 10-mans. And I've been testing 30 Purestrains in the triple 1-point detachment, Heroes of the Xenoswarm. I think it's super cool. I genuinely think it fits very well. It is a lot of beef. It helps deal with that pressure that GSC is very weak to, because, you know, if they try and rush you turn 1 or turn 2, you just go, whoa, 30 Purestrains be upon you. And I've even tested it to the point of buying back the 10-man of Purestrains, and I don't like ever paying more than 2 resurgence points to buy back a unit. I want 5 things to come back, right? But that's when I can, you know, go steal primary and go deep strike these guys to just barely be on your point and stop you from scoring over here, or I can go harass your home, or I have established locus and I'm doing all these things, and there's actually actions in the secondary deck, even though there aren't any anymore. What the fuck? When I can go do bullshit, that's when I like to bring back the 5s. 11th edition says we're not doing bullshit. We don't like it when people try and score points and play the primary game and deny people things. We like it when people kill each other. So then you do kind of have to bring back the greedier things. And so the 10 Purestrains coming back, it's felt fitting for 11th edition. I don't want to say it's like felt right for me as a player. When I did it, I was like, I don't super love this, but it felt correct for the game. Does that make sense? Like, I look at it and I go, this isn't my playstyle, but I feel like this is the correct decision. Next up, I will say that the triple 1-pointer, I think, is one of the best ways to play GSC right now. I think all of the strats are fantastic. I did a write-up for it for Goonhammer that has come out. If you want to check that, it's under their subscriber thing, and I don't want to like talk too much on it because I feel like that might take away from them, and I don't want to do that. But the TLDR is that if you look at like how we played 10th, right? If I broke down Swarm Host, I have a really good detachment rule. I have like 2 enhancements I'm fine taking. Well, one really good one and the other's like, okay. And then my stratagems, I've got crit 5, which once it became 2 CP, it was okay. Return to Shadows, which is really good, but I wish it affected 2 things. So we've got 2 okay strats. We have +1 to wound, which is pretty decent. And then that's basically it. Wait, Return to Shadows, crit 5s, +1 to wound. Oh, 6-inch deep strike, which is game breaking, right? So 1 really, really good strat, and then 3 that are pretty decent, and then 2 enhancements and a good detachment rule, right? If you look at the triple 1-pointer, while the detachment rules are more focused in, combined, I think they make a great detachment rule. If you got a detachment that said your Purestrains get uppy downy, your neophytes heal extra, and all of your lone ops get reroll 1s to hit and wound, you'd be like, GW, were you drunk when you wrote this detachment? But also at the same time, you'd be like, this is kind of nice, right? It buffs the things that need buffs, and it doesn't buff the things that don't need buffs. As weird as that sounds to say, Flacos and Bikes, in my opinion, don't need buffs. In Outlander, yes, getting the +1 FC is great, but like, if I'm going to go amplify the damage of Flacos, they don't really need it because Twin Linked already helps them enough, and I'd rather keep that unit cheap, right? It's meant to be like a cheap skirmishing piece. The more I invest into it, the more I want to use it for a different role, and it's probably not the best for that role, right? With Bikes, I like them because here's just a bunch of free damage, right? They're fast and they're free damage. And if you start having me do other things with that unit, it's not that it's amplifying that role. It already does that role perfectly fine. It's now it also says, oh, but you can go do this other thing. That's like, well, when do I do that, right? Why can't I just do the one thing and have something else go do that thing? And so Neophytes love the consistency of the Xenocult. Purestrains love just everything going on in the Brute Swarm. I think that's like one of the most insanely transformative detachments. And the Heroes detachment makes our heroes feel fucking sick. So we have access to a really good detachment rule. We have access to a transformative upgrade for all of the Purestrains. The +1 damage enhancement on the Sanctus is fucking insane. The -3 detection range is situational, but very good for the Neophyte. So we've got about 3 things that I'm very happy taking. Also the +2 strength on like the Kellermorph to make him strength 8 when you have the points available for that. I think that's going to be very good. I just think that's for a meta down the line, not right now. So we have about 4 enhancements or upgrades, and then all of our strats. We have reroll the hits for Neophytes. We have fallback and charge. We have a reactive move, and we have the -6 detection range for Purestrains, right? We have dev wounds for the Sanctus. We have like, fight on death as well for any of your lone op characters, right? Just being able to threaten a heroic with like so this is like, it's 2 CP in total, right? But if your opponent goes to like charge something off on a flank, heroicing the Sanctus nearby it, and then saying rapid ingressing, and then saying if you try and tag this guy, then I will just fight on death, right? So you can kind of feign the heroic to maybe make them not want to charge. If they still go for it, sure, they're probably not going to touch into the Sanctus, because what's going to happen is you say, cool, fight on death, kill your character, which you were going to do anyways, right? Sure, you don't get the dev wounds, but it's still your full hit and wound rerolls if that's your prey target, right? And so that's a very big threat that someone has to deal with. So all this to say, you have a lot of very good stratagems. And that's I wouldn't say a more impactful detachment rule, but it's 3 specific but very good detachment rules. Double the amount of enhancements that I would want to take in Swarmhost, and double the amount of good strats that I want to use every turn in Swarmhost. Like, this is how we need to like frame things, right? I think if you're like, I have good detachment rule, I have 2 good upgrades or enhancements, and I have like 3 good strats, that's like where you want to be for at least a GSC army. I know custodians are like, I'll take one of those. I'll take one, and I don't even mean one of the 3. I mean like, I'll take a good strat, right? Because that's what Talons was they just got the reactive move. That's the whole reason you ran that fucking thing. So there's like a bar on, you know, what is passable for a detachment, right? And all this to say, I think that the triple 1-pointer is the best combination, or at least it's the most fun I've been having. I think also in terms of how the detachments feel, I think Xenocult is the most impactful in terms of I want to put this in with everything. I think it's the most transformative with like Biosanctic, because, you know, just having a couple 10-mans run around, hold points while your melee pressure army is pushing them in and preventing them from like getting the points back. And they're in the scenario to where, do I shoot the Neophytes and possibly not kill them, or do I shoot, you know, the Aberrants and Purestrains in front of me? Because if I don't, they're going to table me, right? And I don't even think you bring the 20s in there. I think you bring a bunch of 10-man Neophytes, maybe 2 to 3, and you say, I don't really care about the hit rerolls. I'm just going to be 20 OC on this point, and if you don't fully kill me, I get back minimum 14 OC. That's kind of insane. So there's something there, right? I think in Final Day actually, in my opinion, is the one that amplifies Xenocult, which is insane to say a 2-point detachment amplifies the 1 point. But in the triple 1-pointer, once I invest a Neophyte squad down, once I drop them, they're there. I don't have any way to return to reserves. I'm moving 6. I don't have assault, and I'm very predictable in my movement, right? So with that, Final Day allowing you to pick up a unit is very good. Now there's this CP intensive combo that you can do to where like you drop the Red Tear, you pop Catalyst, the 1 CP strat to make your range go from 6 to 9 for the +1 to hit. That means you have dropped 8 inches away from an opponent. Amplify it to 9, so you're giving the +1 to hit. Neophytes drop, and let's say we just have a Nexus and a Benefactus attached to them. Benefactus has the sustained hits enhancement, right? You shoot in with sustained lethal, you pop a CP for full hit rerolls. You're also +1 to hit, ignoring cover, +1 AP, because of course you have Ridge Runner support. That's a lot of damage. And then at the end of your fight phase, the red terror goes bye-bye and leaves. And then at the end of the opponent's turn, the neophytes also go bye-bye and leave again. And you can keep doing this. Is that all of your CP? Yeah, kind of, but I don't know, figure it out. Yeah, I think it's really good. Also, it gives it access to a different disposition. I think Final Day desperately wants to be away from Purge. Purge is low unit count. And Final Day with all of its lictors don't like low unit count. Maybe there's a world to where we have like Trigons and, you know, big bricks of hyper adapted Raveners with Raveners, and we're just full just gunch, but I'm not seeing it yet. So we'll have to see. But then yeah, in like Xenocreed was like Biosanctic, a very monophase damage army. And where in Biosanctic you might just want the 10 mans, I think in both there is a world where you could bring like 2 Benny squads, and it's just the full hit rerolls with all of these lethal guns gives you access to one, handle things in transports. So you can stage, you know, 10 tacos or 10 metas right in front of it and then just go, right? Pop the transport, go charge everything, kill everything. That's great. But it's just Xenocreed's kind of failing beforehand was it could only ever kill one thing a turn. Effectively, right? Because its only output, like enhancing thing, was a strat that gave you +1 attack, weapon skill, and hazardous. You couldn't do that in 2 things. So if your opponent said, here are 2 things, and God forbid those 2 things are monsters, not vehicles, it gets real shaky on whether or not you can kill them. So, right? But being able to have these neophytes that drop down and say, hey, you know, I'm going to have full hit rerolls, or you're playing offensively with a bunch of icon wards and you're using that strat to avenge the martyr, and so you already have hit rerolls from that strat, that's like a big damage amplification. So I think there's a world here to where like there's a Xeno build that can be very fun. And then also on the other side, I know this is going to sound weird. So to go to what I think is the second best detachment is the Purestrain detachment. And this is going to sound crazy, I know. We'll talk about heroes in a second. It's got a great disposition. It's transformative in everything it does with the datasheet it affects, right? The Purestrain genestealers are a different datasheet, like fundamentally from the ground up when they are in this detachment versus when they are not. I think they're better in this detachment than they are in Biosanctic. That's just me though. In Xenocreed, you might think, well, they're both priority assets, so you don't need that, and nothing in Xenocreed really affects the Purestrains, right? But so the one thing that does is the 12 resurgence points, right? Deeds that speak to the masses to get you to 12, because that allows you to buy back 20 Purestrain genestealers. And I'm not saying you have to do that in every game, but if you run if your list is like 30 Purestrains, 30 metas, and then just figure the rest out, and you're playing priority purge, there's this game plan to where you go, okay, if I need a bunch of damage 2 stuff, then I'm bringing back 30 metamorphs this game. If I'm running into a bunch of vehicles, then I'm buying back all of my tacos. If I'm running into a bunch of stuff to where the strength and toughness 5 is just going to get me there, and I'd really like the invuln, then we're bringing back 20 Purestrain genestealers. And I think that's actually a really good game plan. We'll have to see, right? I don't fully know. I 100% could be wrong about this. All of my testing right now has been into PHX, PXH. I think PHX is better on the tongue. It's a better mouthfeel. PHX has been like the main thing I've been testing. I have done a Xeno game with neophytes, but I digress. Continuing on, the Purestrain detachment I think is great for like Outlander Claw, because you have a bunch of bikes and then you have these uppy downy Purestrains that are just going all over the place. That is just insane for that disposition. In terms of recon, just wanting to kind of be everywhere, do a couple actions, but just like be around the board is generally what recon likes to do. And those two just hold hands. And once again, they're like, we're not going to interact with each other. We don't give a shit what the other detachment's doing, but they're so good at doing the game plan together that's where their synergy comes in. Does that make sense? As well, the Purestrain detachment combined with Final Day, just giving Final Day access to priority, so you can have all of your lictors just, be doing their actions and all that kind of stuff is really, really good. So we'll have to see. I just want to touch in because I know everyone's going to be like, how are you saying Heroes of the Uprising is the third best detachment? And I don't think it's bad. I think all of them are like S or A tier. I think Heroes is just in the fact that it doesn't have the best disposition for GSC. GSC doesn't like being in Purge, and Purge doesn't like having a bunch of lone op characters running around, right? Cheap little lone op guys. That's not how Purge plays the game. Once again, Purge plays the game by running a low unit count. So if you run Heroes and Final Day and your only disposition's Purge and you have 3 fucking Lictors and you have 3 Sancti and that's more lone op characters than your opponent has models, you're kind of in a rough position in terms of like actually securing kill more, right? So I don't think it plays well. It needs a detachment that gives it a better disposition. So if you're not in there for the disposition, what are you here for? And it's the reliability of the characters, right? The Sanctus with 3 damage and dev wounds on his prey target is the most fun I have had in this edition. I have killed Gaz, I have killed the Triumph, I have killed Necrosaur, I have killed so many fucking things that I had no business. I've killed Dante and 3 Sangard, I've killed 5 Vitrix and Kato, or was it 4 Vitrix and Kato? I forget which. Either way, I punked the hell out of them. It is just a good time. But outside of that, everything else is just like, they're good in a different meta. I think if we go to this meta back to when, you know, like Blood Angels was really good in 10th edition, and we were kind of like in this MSU kind of melee pressure build where we're like, ooh, here's a bunch of 5-mans running around, and you kind of amplify these characters to kind of help deal with those 5-mans to where they're not able to like fully kill them outside of like the Sanctus, but being able to, you know, Calamorph being able to be like, yeah, I can kill like 3 guys. Like, that's really good, right? So I think it's good, but I think it is just, it's the auxiliary detachment. It's the stuff to where it's your icing on the cupcake. Everything else you're already doing is good. You bring that in, right? I could see it being on Outlander Claw, and you're just doing recon, and you have just a bunch of small bases that are lone op that are great on the rapid ingress, just doing their shit. Beforehand in Outlander Claw, your only characters really were Reductus, Saboteurs, and Sanctus, and sometimes a Benny with like 10 Neos. Sure, but you know, now being able to say, hey, all those characters get extra buffs, it definitely could be the play, but I don't think it's better than the other stuff that you can do with the other detachments. Does this make sense? Now, when it's in the triple detachment list, I think it's the one that shines the most. It's the biggest threat, right? But that's because it's enabled by everything else. The 30 Purestrains and Purestrain Bruteswarm are just doing their job, right? They're making it to where the opponent doesn't want to walk at me. And then the neophytes are making it to where I'm able to hold points and my opponent isn't able to live after they've walked at me, right? And then that's when, you know, you can have your characters drop down and go pick off flanks. And you're like, all right, this guy's going to go handle him. Okay, you, like, Dante's squad just got behind my lines. Cool, we're going to wrap at him here and we're going to go take care of that answer. And it's really great on the cleanup. And that sometimes could be a detriment for GSC, is figuring out where we've got that cleanup. And right now, especially with points being as tight as they are, that can get very, very rough, right? And so it answers a problem. I think there's only upswing for this detachment is what I'm also wanting to get around. I think everything else is like at that S tier, like where it needs to be right now, perfect. And then the Purestrain, the Heroes of the Uprising is the one where it's like, I'm really great, and just you fucking wait for the meta power to kind of come down a little bit. It's going to be insane. I think right now it is semi-carried by the Sanctus itself, just precision being so good in this edition right now. It's just, oh boy. Okay. This video has gone on pretty long. We're hitting the 30-minute mark. I apologize for talking so long. Let me kind of wrap this up with a couple lists, right? What is my triple 1-point detachment list? What is my, you know, the Xeno build that I was testing out? All this stuff, right? So I want to give you about 3 lists that we're going to go across. I'm just going to read them out. I'll probably, you know, throw up a quick little thing here in editing real quick. But to start off with the PHX, it's going to be triple Benny, a Patriarch, 2 Sancti, 1 with the genestealer toxins, the +1 damage enhancement. We've got 2 Flacos, 3 squads of 20 neophytes, and then we got 3 squads of 10 Purestrains, all with Mark of the Star Children, 2 5-mans of Adelan Jackals, and then 2 Achilles Ridge Runners. Now, I have modified this to be, we take out the Jackals, and we are throwing in, where is it the It's Good to Be Home list? I guess not. We're taking out the Adelan Jackals, and then we're adding in like a Taco Squad, a third Ridge Runner, and then I think like a squad of Flacos, something like that, because bikes do feel awkward right now. I don't super love them, but we're figuring it out. Yeah, I think this is like the list that I've had the most success with and the most fun with. Beforehand, I had like a lot less beef. I had a bunch more 5-mans running around doing actions and all that kind of stuff. But I would just kind of have big bricks of dudes running at me, and I didn't have the damage to like punch back into them. And so that's why we're kind of, you see here, 3 bricks of Purestrain genestealers, 3 bricks of neophytes that all are going to have full hit rerolls when they shoot into you, right? We've got damage here, as well as the Sancti to help pick off characters to really reduce the effectiveness of these super death ball bricks, right? A lot of characters, their way to protect against, precision is like some type of feel no pain or a good invuln, and just being like, hey dog, 18 dev wounds. Even if you got a 4-up feel no pain against that shit, is real dicey. So, yeah, no, we'll have to see. Outside of that, I do want to talk about my final cult list. I think there's a world to where you can run this where it's more Ridge Runner centric, but I kind of feel like we need that turn 1 don't walk at me kind of attitude. So right now I am at the Death Leaper, the Red Terror, a Benefactus, 2x5 hyper adapted Raveners, a Patriarch of course, with the Ignore Overwatch. Also Benny has the sustained hits enhancement. 2x5 of the Flacos, 1 squad of 20 Neophytes, 2 Lictors, 25 Purestrain Genestealers, so 10-10-5, and then 1 Achilles Ridge Runner with Mortar, 1 with Spotter and Mining Laser, and then 2 with Spotter Mining Laser. Yeah, I just think this is good. I almost want to move. I kind of want to take out the 2 Ridge Runners for like a second Neo Brick. And possibly, to make points work, we might have to reduce one of the 10s down to a 5-man of Purestrain Genestealers, but But I think Final Day is just great for Neos. I genuinely think they're super sick. Just being able to, plunging fire isn't the most prevalent thing, and it is semi-easy for your opponent to stop on accident. I don't even think they really need to be intentional with it. But in the instances to where you can drop on the second floor with your mining lasers and the Benefactus, and then, get the +1 to hit from your Tyranids, or, if it's the next turn and you've regened some guys back up onto the second floor, or you're just there regularly getting heavy, mining lasers hitting on 3s is really good. Really, really good. And with Xenocult here, just also giving them those full hit rerolls while you don't need it as much while you're hitting on 3s. It's still something to where it's like, yeah, dog, it's just consistent. We have good heavy weapons that do good damage, and it just makes them more reliable, right? You get essentially you double your accuracy, right? Because before you had a 1 in 3 chance to hit, and now you have a 2/3 chance to hit. Great job. You're doing great. Now, are you always going to be able to line up that buff with plunging fire and the +1 to hit? No, but you're going to be able to line up the +1 to hit. So it is what it is. A notable thing here that people are going to say, hey, why isn't that there? I don't like gargoyles. I have not liked the model for a long time. And with the changes to Heroic, with the changes to Overwatch, with them not being able to move after deep striking, I get that they can move up to 24 inches in a turn, right? Because, you roll that 6 for the advance, they go hella far, and then they can, move another 6 afterwards. That's really great. But primary denial isn't a thing in 11th edition right now. If you'll notice, a lot of dispositions don't even get points for holding their home point. Don't know why that's a thing, by the way, but it is a thing. So it's something to where I look at and I go, I just don't love them. And once again, with how thick the meta is right now, I think we really need that punch when people just want to run at us, and we need an answer for that, right? So here we are. Now, moving on, I do want to talk about the Xeno list. I think it's not my place. I've done a test game with it, and I very quickly realized that it's not my style of play, because it's just Brick City, and that's to where I'm like, I don't know. I think it's just me not liking 11th edition right now in terms of how it's forcing me to play the game. But let me go over the list and I'll talk about why. So we have 2 Benny Neo bricks, okay? We have a 10-man squad of Neos that is upgraded to have the Devious disguises. We have 2 Bio Taco squads, right? The Acolytes with mining tools with 2 Biophages attached. We have a 5-man of Tacos by themselves. They're just farming CP. We have a squad of Metamorphs with the Biophagus and an Icon Ward. We have a squad of Metas with an Icon Ward, a Locus, and, the 10 Metas. We have a 10-man squad of Metas on their own. We have 2 Mortar Ridge Runners, and we have 2 trucks. It's a lot. And with the state of our army rule right now, this list says, hello, I'm buying back 30 Metamorphs. I can buy back nothing else. And I think that's kind of fine. I think that's what I sign up for when making this list. It is what it is. It's very funny, but yeah, it's I don't love just playing Brick City. It's not my play style. I definitely think there is something there. I think the 20 Benny Neo bricks just having more reliable access to hit rerolls, because before you could do this, right? That was kind of my thing with Xenocreed, was trying to make Benny Neo bricks line up to where you sacrifice a character to a big unit and then you drop down and you shoot and you kill that big unit with the full hit rerolls for Avenge the Martyrs. Cool. But also there's those times to where they go, I'm just going to kill you with 5 JPI. Or I'm going to get you low and then polish you off with something small. And that's when you're like, well, I don't want to spend Avenge the Martyrs for like fucking 2 Chaos Spawn or 5 JPI, right? That's where you're like, why? So then you can just drop down and go, no, I am going to look at Magnus and I am going to say, hey, full hit rerolls, right? So it gives you redundancy in a good way. There's definitely needs to be more list refinement there. And I think that's going to bring us to our last topic of the day, which is our army rule, right? I understand it's broken right now. I get the whole thing of if you have a character attached, you cannot buy the unit back. I have not talked about it that much. I have not made it a big deal. Same thing with the explosive stratagem being changed, and now the Saboteur can't do her thing. Dog, I'm gonna be so fucking real. Just use it how you imagine it. Every top player and every other event is going like, yeah, we can just be adults and we can look at this and say the explosive stratagem is it like we can just do a mental FAQ of no, actually the Saboteur can use the grenade strat for free. And I don't really want to entertain the arguments of like, well, what does that mean? That's a slippery slope because now we're house ruling things. And it's like, brother, I think that like the month 1 FAQ that they're talking about, or like rules changes and updates, it's probably going to have that in there. It's probably going to fix the army rule. I have Heroes Cup this weekend. And unfortunately, Green Banner events, I love them. I love all of their events. I talked to Jason about this, and he says, rules is written right now. You cannot buy back characters. That's just how it's going to be for this event. However, and this isn't from him, this is just from other sources that I have had, I've kind of had it on good authority of like, yeah, that was an oversight. We'll get it fucking fixed. Don't worry about it. So I believe that this is something that is going to be amended. If you are just in your test games, or you're just playing, or if you happen to be running at a local RTT or whatever the fuck, run it by your TOs, run it by your friends playing, and just be like, can you allow me to buy back my things? Now, I don't think, once again, you're buying back anything except, well, I just said earlier that I bought back 10 Purestrain genestealers. The meta's changed. I still am of the firm belief that the 5x5 squads is the best way to use your resurgence points, but, making it to where you can buy back units that had characters attached makes it to where Biosanctic and Xenocreed actually have life and a chance in the meta. So it's one of those things to where, like, yes, I understand there was an argument here. Yes, I could also YouTube clickbait and be like, wow, GW so bad. Look how they nerf GSC. Reductus Saboteur cannot use grenades. No, this is not a shot at anyone who does that. Get your fucking bag, king. What I am going to say is like, it's going to be fixed. And for like 99% of people, it's not going to fucking matter before it gets fixed, right? It is a grievance, yes. And I get it as a reason to be annoyed. I feel like there are greater things to be annoyed about, so I am choosing to not be annoyed at these things. And once again, I am a player who this is affecting. I am going to an event representing Team USA. The first time my name is going to be representing this team, and I am fucking scared shitless because of that. I have to deal with an army rule that doesn't fucking work. And instead of being smart and choosing a different army, I said, I'm going to make this work, right? This is affecting me. I am actively taking the nerf to the chin. And I'm saying, even then, it's not that bad. We can play around it, right? We are a resourceful army. We are a resourceful community. One of the very nice things is that every day now, I don't know what the fuck breathed life into my Discord. There's just been enough people to where people talk now. It's great. The attitudes and positivity in that Discord are something that like has kept me going, because even I like at times I'm like, dude, fuck man, they neutered GSC. It's fucking rough out here. And yet we continue, and yet we carry on. So I'm very proud of this community. I'm very proud of this army. I think that we can do a lot, and we're going to make it work. We just are. So that is going to be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching, if you still are. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know. So we've got a lot of open-ended spaces, right? And I do have in my Discord a video suggestion thing, but in the comments down below or in there, wherever you want to put it, let me know what you would like to see. I'm working on lining up a couple more battle reports. I'm going to try and play different things for those. I have a video well, I don't have a video, but I was featured on a video for a very big channel that's coming out possibly this week or next. We'll have to see. I don't want to give the full details. I asked them if I could say it, and I didn't get a response, so I'm just going to respectfully, but yeah, you'll see it. If you see my channel, you'll see it. I've got a lot of stuff to where you can just watch me play the game, but also if you want to hear me talk about the game, let me know what you want to hear me talk about, okay? If it's detachment combos, if you just want to get lists, if we want to do the YouTube slop thing of like, here's tier lists of detachments and units in those detachments. Sure, man, fuck it, we can do that. But let me know what is important to you so I can get that content to you, okay? I think we're in a point right now to where we just kind of got to like figure everything out right now. The general, like, here are these advanced strategy videos, I'm not comfortable trying to focus on and get out right now because we're still all kind of getting our bearings, right? I don't think there's a lot of value in getting, you know, oh, I can use this nice trick because there's a wall between me and my opponent to where after they pile in, I just got to in closer so I pull guys out of engagement range. Like, yeah, dog, that's cool, but some people are still figuring out how the fuck the charge phase works, right? So let's figure that the fuck out. Some people are still figuring out dispositions. So we'll get there. It's just I want to, like, you know, get this feeling from the community first that we are all kind of figuring out 11th edition before we start to really deep dive into the stuff, into the sauce, right? So I think that's everything. Yeah, cool, great, fantastic. That's gonna be it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you still are, I know I've said this the second time, I ramble, my meds haven't kicked in today yet. Quit being mean to me. I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Roll that outro, baby. Goodbye.